Welcome back to my channel, everyone. It's great to have you all back again. In this video, we'll be creating an Australian flag in Inkscape. If you watched the previous tutorial on how to do the Union Jack flag in Inkscape, you'll already have the Union Jack graphic, and we'll be using that in this tutorial as well. But if you don't have that, don't worry about it, because I'll be giving a link to that particular graphic of the Union Jack in the video description, so you should be all right. But without any further preamble, I think we'll get right into the tutorial. So in Inkscape, we will create a new document, which we have here. Then we will go to File, Document Properties, and we will set the units of measurement to pixels, px, and then we will change the width of the document to 10,080 and the height to 5,040. And if you're wondering why I'm using such strange coordinates, the reason for that will become clear later on. And we will tick off Show Border Shadow so that we just have straight lines as borders for the flag. And then we will just close that because I don't want to create a grid for this object. We should be fine the way we are. Then I'm going to open up the Union Jack graphic, which we have. Union Jack in Inkscape, and like I say, I'll provide a copy of this in the video description. Then press Ctrl-A to select the whole Union Jack and Ctrl-C to copy it, then Ctrl-W to close that, and Ctrl-V to paste into the original document. And then with all of that selected, first of all we'll change our coordinate system to pixels, and in the transform window up here we will give that selection an x value of 0 and a y value of 2520. And we will give that graphic a width of 5040, so it's half the width of the flag, and a height of 2520. So it fills the upper left quarter of the flag. And then we'll click out of that. And if you have the flag selected, if you have the Union Jack as one group, you may want to right-click on it and ungroup it before we do the next step, which is to select the blue background of the flag and change the width of that object to 10,080 and the height to 5,040. And we will give that object a y value of 0. And there we have it. We already have the background to the Australian flag. So now, if we go to the to the Wikipedia article of the Australian flag, and we just enlarge this graphic of the flag here, we can see that the only other thing to add to the flag really, but it does take a bit of work, are all these stars. And let's just look for a moment at what these stars are. So the really big one, right underneath the Union Jack, is called the Commonwealth Star, and all the stars which make up the right half of the flag are the stars of the Southern Cross, which is the constellation in the night sky which you can only see from the Southern Hemisphere, like in Australia. And that is 4 big stars, all of the same size, and 1 little star. And these stars are actually named according to the Greek alphabet: Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon. The 4 big stars here all have 7 points to them. The Commonwealth Star also has 7 points to it. But what all of these stars have in common, the Commonwealth Star, the 4 big stars of the Southern Cross, and the little Epsilon star of the Southern Cross, they all have what's called a stroke ratio of 4:9. And what that means, if we just go to this website here, which is australianflag.net.au, and we click on this graphic here, which is shows the specification, you can see this a bit clearer. All the stars are based on 2 circles, which is an inner circle where the rays start and an outer circle where the rays end. And all of these circles are in the same ratio of 4:9. So that's what we have to create in Inkscape. What we do then is we go back to Inkscape, we create a new document, we go to Document Properties, and we'll stick with units of millimeters. It doesn't really matter so much in this case, but we'll stick with units of millimeters, and we'll go width of 180, height of 180, and we will turn off Show Border Shadow. Then we will go to our grids, create a new grid, and we will change to millimeters so that we're consistent with what we did in the page settings, and we will give it spacing of X spacing of 10 and Y spacing of 10, and a major grid line every 9 grid points. And that will give us this lovely grid system with the major grid line going right through the center of the page, and each quadrant having 9 major grid lines in it, going up and down and left and right. And then we'll just go to Snap just to make sure we have always Snap to Grid selected, because that's very important, and then we'll just close the Document Properties window. Then we're going to draw a circle across the whole canvas there. So we select our circle, we go to the top left corner until we see those crosshairs, which means the shape is going to snap to the grid lines. We drag the circle right to the bottom right corner until we see that snapping crosshairs again. Release the mouse, and then we choose a black color there. Then I'm just going to select out of that, and then what I'm going to do, and we have to make sure that we have stroke style of 0 stroke. So we go to stroke style in the fill and stroke window, and we see we have a stroke width of 0, which is exactly what we want. And then we go to then we're going to go to the stars tool. We're going to choose a white color, and up here in the stars properties, we want to put corners to 7, and we want to put stroke ratio to 0.444. And what that does is it gives the stars that ratio of 4 to 9, which we were just talking about. Then with the star tool, we go to the very center of the page until we see that text, which means it's snapped to the center, and we drag the star right up until the topmost ray just bisects that top border of the page. When we see those crosshairs there, we release our mouse button. And we just zoom in to make sure that's all snapped correctly, and it's snapped beautifully. And so you can see that each of our rays is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units long, and the inner radius is 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly what it's supposed to be, because of that stroke ratio of 0.444, which we specified. Then I'm going to press Control-A to select all that, then Control-C and Control-V, and I'm just going to move that selection out of the side. It's very important that you keep the circle with the star, because the circle is what's going to be the basis for our positioning later on. Then we right-click that selection and go Group, so that all just becomes one object, which you can just move around as we like. Then we go back to our original setup, and we select the white star. We delete it, but we leave the black circle. Go back to our star tool, and we change our number of corners to 5, because remember, in the flag, there's just one star, which is 5 points, not 7 points, and that's the smallest star of the Southern Cross, Epsilon Crucis, it's called. So we'll go back to Inkscape, zoom in a little bit there, and we will just draw a 5-pointed star in exactly the same way we drew the 7-pointed star. Go to the center, drag up to the top, drag the topmost ray up to the top like that until it bisects and snaps. And there, we have a beautiful 5-pointed star inscribed in the circle. So we'll just use our mouse to select that star and circle, move it out of the way, and we will group that one as well. Then we'll just press Control-A to select everything, press Control-C to copy, click out of that, press Ctrl W to close the window, and we'll just select close without saving because we don't need that anymore. And we go back to our original document here, and we press Ctrl V to paste those two stars back into the flag. So now the only thing we have to do now is we have to position these stars. Don't worry about the black circles because we'll delete those black circles after we've done the sizing and positioning. But to understand the sizing and positioning, let's just have another look at that graphic, which we just had a look at. This one here. And we can see that all of the positions and sizes of the stars are specified in terms of fractions of the length and width of the flag. So, for example, if you look at the Commonwealth star, it says outer diameter 3/5 the width of the Union Jack, and inner diameter 4/9 the outer diameter. And there's lots of other positioning specifications as well. And all of those measurements are actually easier to see back in the Wikipedia article here. If we scroll down to where it says construction, it gives all the fractions which give the exact positioning of the stars. So to position all the stars in Inkscape, what you actually have to do is you have to convert all these fractions to Inkscape coordinates. But actually, you don't have to do that because I've already done all those conversions. And I've created a little cheat sheet for you which gives the positioning of all the stars. This little cheat sheet I've created, it gives the sizes of the stars, and it gives the X and Y coordinates of them on the page. And this is the reason why we created the flag with such strange coordinates of 5040 by 10,080, because 5040 is actually the lowest common denominator of all of these fractions, which means that we could create position coordinates and size specifications for the stars, which are non-fractional, which are whole numbers. And that makes it a bit easier to assign the coordinates to the stars, which is what we'll do now. So what I'm going to do is, with this cheat sheet, I'm just going to select all of the text. This is just in Notepad, and I'm going to copy it. And like I said, this cheat sheet will actually be available to you in the video description, so you don't have to worry about memorizing any of these numbers. It'll all be available. I'm just going to show you the process. When we go back to Inkscape, and I'm just going to use the text tool here to draw a little text box, and I'm going to press Ctrl V to paste that cheat sheet into a graphic so that we can actually see it alongside the flag. So we'll just make it a bit bigger. And so now all we have to do is follow this guide to position the stars. And we'll start with the Commonwealth star. So here you can see it says the diameter of the Commonwealth star is 1512. So we will give that star a width of, and remember, we are just selecting the object, which is a group of the star and the circle that it's inscribed in. And like I said, it's very important to keep the circle because all of these measurements are actually based on positioning the lower left corner of that circle, which inscribes the star. I've actually done calculations which convert the star center specifications in the original flag specs to bottom left specs, which Inkscape can understand. So we just select that object for the Commonwealth star, and we give it a width of 1512 and a height of 1512. That puts it to the correct size, and then we make it the right position, which, as you can see, star positions, X value of 1764 and Y value of 504. This is just all from the cheat sheet I created. And then we'll do the stars of the Southern Cross. And because the four big stars of the Southern Cross are exact same shape, as the Commonwealth star. They're just a different size. We will copy the Commonwealth star, and then we will resize it to the size of the Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and Delta stars of the Southern Cross, which is 720. And then the position for Alpha Crucis, the first big star of the Southern Cross, is X value of 7200, Y value of 480. Right. And then the three other big stars of the Southern Cross are all the same size, so all we have to do is just copy that one, and then we don't have to resize it, we just have to put the new coordinates in it. So for Beta Crucis, X value of 5940, Y value of 2475. Then copy again and put the coordinates for Gamma Crucis, which is Y value of 7200 by 3840. And copy it one last time. Put the XY values for Delta Crucis, X value of 8320 by 2811. And then the only other thing left to do is to position the little star, and that has the little 5-pointed star, which has a diameter of 420. And it has an X value of 7854 and a Y value of 2100. And there we have it, all the stars in the exact positions. Now, the only other thing left to do now, of course, is to get rid of the black circles. So what we'll do is we'll select each of the stars, right-click and ungroup them. Group. And then very carefully we just zoom a little bit, select all the black circles and delete them. Very important to have the black circles while you're doing the positioning, because all of those coordinates are based on the circle coordinates. But once you've done the positioning, you can delete all the black circles. And there you have it. There's the Australian flag. I'll just delete all this text here because we don't need it anymore. Again, all that text is available in the cheat sheet I provided with you, so you don't have to memorize any of those numbers. They're all provided for you. And there we have it. There's the Australian flag. The only thing is it's really large because of those unusual sizing parameters we put in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shrink it down to a more manageable size. Press Control A to select everything, and I'm going to give it a width of just 2000 pixels and a height of 1000 pixels. And you can resize it to whatever size you like using that method. But it's always good to make the document itself the same size. So we go to Document Properties, pixel selected, we go width of 2000, height of 1000. And there we go. Beautiful flag. So the only thing left now to do is to assign the colours, the right colours to the flag. At the moment, this is using the same colours which we used for the Union Jack, which is probably all right. The colours are not as well defined in the flag specifications as the positions of the Union Jack and all the stars are. The most important thing is you get the star positioning and the Union Jack positioning right. Okay, the colours are a little bit more subjective, but There are some recommendations. If we go back to the Wikipedia article, we go to the colours section. It says here, the colours of the flag, though not specified by the Flags Act, have been given Pantone specifications by the Awards and Culture branch of the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. So the Pantone colours are blue is set to 280C Pantone, which is actually, so that means that the blue we have here is actually correct, because it's the same blue we used for the Union Jack. Not the exact Pantone version, but the Pantone approximation, of the RGB approximation of the Pantone colour, which from memory is a red value of 1, blue value of 33, and green value of 105. But whereas we used, it's interesting that whereas the red for the Union Jack was specified as Pantone 186C, here for the Australian flag it's specified as Pantone 185C. So to get an idea of what RGB values we can use to approximate that Pantone colour, you see, Inkscape, I should explain a bit here, the Pantone colour system is a system that's used by professional graphic designers and printers for getting colours very precise. If you send a document, a PDF document, to a printer which has Pantone specifications in it, the printer will have all the software and hardware necessary to print those Pantone colours to spec. But in our day-to-day monitors and printers that we use in our homes and offices, we can't really reproduce those Pantone colours. We can only approximate them. And Inkscape, and the Pantone system is actually beyond the current capabilities of Inkscape, but we can approximate them using RGB values. And so to find out how to approximate that particular Pantone colour, we go to Google, we type Pantone 185C. And we scroll down and we click on Pantone 185C, find a Pantone colour, and it will take us right to the Pantone website, and it will give us an RGB approximation of that colour, which we see is 228043. So if we go back to Inkscape, and we will just select all the red elements of the flag. So starting, I find the best way to do it is just to start with the diagonal elements of the Union Jack. Then go the big vertical bar, the big horizontal bar, then the tall vertical bar. And then you have to be very careful not to select any of the white or blue, you just select the red, but we've got all of the red selected there now. And then we go to the fill section of the fill and stroke panel, and we put, what was it? Go back to the Pantone site, 228043. 228043. And that gives an approximation of the Pantone colour that was specified for the red of the Australian flag. And the blue we're already approximating. So that's one colour system for the flag. But if you look again at the Wikipedia table here, it actually gives an alternative RGB entry. Now, this is not a Pantone approximation. This is another colour system altogether. I think what it is this, where it says, the Australian Government Style Manual for Authors, Editors and Printers also gives CMYK and RGB specifications for depicting the flag in print and on screen, respectively. So I suspect that is that RGB suggestion. And so we can try that system out by going back to Inkscape, Control A to select everything, Control C, and then Control V to copy the flag, and then we will select the blue and we will try those RGB values 00139, and you see that we've got a much brighter version which is of blue, which is obviously intended for screen, and it's not attempting to simulate any Pantone colours. And let's try selecting over red again. And all this red is it's just set red to the maximum value of 255, and it's put green and blue to 0. So we'll try that. And this will just produce a primary red. And there we have it. Two very different colour styles for the flag. And which one you want to use is really dependent on you. You know, they say that this top version is good for screen. And you wouldn't want to be printing this top version anyway, because you probably wouldn't be able to replicate those very bright RGB colours. And but also, you know, they evoke different emotions, you know. So the top flag, the brighter top flag gives a feeling of maybe youth and energy, whereas the bottom flag gives a feeling of maybe traditionalism and conservatism and security and respect. But anyway, that's how we create an Australian flag in Inkscape. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you like. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, be happy, be well, and I will see you in the future. Bye-bye.